Have you ever felt a spark deep inside, a quiet voice whispering that you were meant for something greater than the life you're living right now? It's a feeling that often visits us in the middle of the night or in those moments of silence when the world pauses and we're left alone with our thoughts. Maybe you see glimpses of what your life could be, more fulfilling, more exciting, more impactful, but every time you reach for it, old habits, fear, and doubt pull you back. It's frustrating, isn't it? To know you could be so much more, yet feel stuck in the same patterns day after day. You're not lazy or unmotivated. You're simply trapped by invisible walls built from years of self-limiting beliefs and stories you've told yourself about who you are and what's possible. But what if those walls could crumble? What if you could break through them, not tomorrow, but today? Imagine waking up with a sense of purpose that lights a fire in your chest, pushing you to chase your dreams with a passion that can't be tamed. Picture facing challenges not with fear, but with the confidence that you have everything within you to overcome them. Think about what your relationships, your career, your health, and your peace of mind would look like if you stepped fully into the power you've always carried. This isn't about changing who you are. It's about peeling back the layers to reveal the version of you that's been waiting patiently for you to believe the life you crave is real and within reach, but it demands something from you: the courage to unlock your own potential and the commitment to live as your best self every single day. Every person walking this earth carries within them a reservoir of potential far deeper and richer than they often realize. Yet despite having dreams that light up their imagination and goals that quicken their heartbeat, many find themselves drifting through life as if on autopilot. Day after day, routines repeat, obligations pile up, and excuses feel more comforting than the discomfort of change. We tell ourselves we'll get to it someday when we have more time, more money, more confidence, or the right circumstances. But the truth is, someday is an illusion that keeps us tethered to the familiar and robs us of what could be an extraordinary life. The journey to unlocking one's true capacity begins with an honest look at where we stand and a daring vision of where we want to go. It demands a shift from passive hope to active intention, from wishful thinking to deliberate action. It asks us to challenge beliefs we've held for years, ideas about our limitations, our worth, and our chances at success. This is not always easy, and it rarely feels comfortable, but those who dare to question the stories they've inherited or written for themselves discover a liberating truth. We are not prisoners of our past or our current circumstances. We are the architects of what happens next. Deep down, most people already know they're capable of more. They sense it when they daydream about a career that excites them, relationships that uplift them, health that energizes them, and adventures that make life feel vivid and meaningful. Yet translating these visions into reality often feels impossible because old fears and doubts keep surfacing at every turn. The voice that says, "Who do you think you are?" or "What if you fail and everyone sees it?" echoes louder than the whispers of potential. But the most remarkable transformations happen not by silencing fear entirely, but by deciding to act in spite of it. Growth doesn't come from playing small and safe. It comes from stretching beyond what feels easy, failing forward, and learning relentlessly. It comes from surrounding yourself with people and ideas that challenge you to rise higher than your excuses. His journey is not about becoming someone different. It's about uncovering the strength, resilience, and brilliance that have always been within you, waiting for permission to shine through. When you commit to doing the inner work and take bold action daily, you step into a life where your potential is not just a dream, but your new reality. One of the most frustrating truths about life is that many people know they want more, yet feel powerless to make it happen. It's not a lack of intelligence or desire that keeps them stuck. It's the weight of self-doubt, ingrained habits, and the paralyzing fear of failure that form invisible chains around their ambitions. Many drift through each week feeling an undercurrent of dissatisfaction, quietly wondering if this is really all there is. Deep down, they sense they were made for more, but they keep replaying the same patterns: procrastination, excuses, distractions, and endless promises to start tomorrow. This cycle often begins with childhood messages, societal conditioning, or painful experiences that plant seeds of limitation. Over time, these seeds grow into beliefs that feel like facts. I'm not good enough. I'll never succeed. Or people like me don't get to live that kind of life. These thoughts whisper in the background every time an opportunity arises. Instead of leaning in with courage, people shrink back, choosing the comfort of familiar struggle over the discomfort of unknown success. Even those who summon enough motivation to set goals often find themselves sabotaged by their own minds. They start strong but quit when it gets hard. They get inspired by books or talks but fail to translate inspiration into daily habits. Old environments, negative influences, and lack of accountability drag them back to square one. As a result, each failed attempt strengthens the belief that change is impossible. This breeds a quiet resignation, a decision to settle for less, to stay small, to dim the light that once burned brightly within. What makes this problem so challenging is that it hides in plain sight. From the outside, everything might look fine, a stable job, a decent home, the appearance of success. But behind closed doors, there's a persistent inner ache, a longing for freedom, creativity, adventure, or deeper purpose. This disconnect between what is and what could be eats away at motivation and joy. Breaking this pattern requires more than wishful thinking or temporary bursts of inspiration. It demands a radical shift in mindset, daily disciplines that rewire old habits, and an unwavering commitment to grow even when it's uncomfortable. It calls for clarity about what truly matters and the courage to chase it relentlessly. Until this inner battle is confronted, no amount of external change can produce lasting transformation. This is the challenge that keeps people bound and the key problem that must be solved to unlock the life they truly desire. When people begin the journey of breaking free from old patterns and stepping into a life of purpose and fulfillment, they quickly realize that the greatest battle is not with the outside world, but with themselves. The human mind is incredibly powerful, and its default mode is to keep us safe. Not necessarily happy or successful, but safe. This means clinging to the known, repeating familiar behaviors, and avoiding risks, even when those risks could lead to growth. To counter this, the first step is to become deeply aware of the thoughts and beliefs that dictate daily choices. Awareness creates a gap between an old automatic response and a new conscious decision. One of the most effective ways to gain this awareness is through honest self-reflection. Journaling, meditation, or simply sitting in silence can reveal patterns that were invisible before. People start to notice how often they talk themselves out of opportunities, how they procrastinate to avoid discomfort, and how fear shows up disguised as logic. This new clarity empowers them to question these patterns rather than obey them blindly. Once aware, the next crucial move is to develop daily habits that align with a higher vision of life. Change is not the result of grand gestures done once. It's built through small, consistent actions that compound over time. Setting clear goals, breaking them into tiny steps, and celebrating even the smallest progress keeps momentum alive. This builds confidence, which slowly replaces doubt. Equally important is managing one's physical and emotional state. Energy fuels action. Simple practices like regular exercise, healthy nutrition, deep breathing, and quality sleep make a dramatic difference in how resilient and focused a person feels. When the body is strong and the mind calm, challenges feel more like puzzles to solve than threats to fear. Another powerful shift happens when people start asking themselves better questions. Instead of focusing on why something won't work, they learn to ask, what is one thing I can do today to move closer to my goal? Or how can I turn this obstacle into an advantage? Better questions direct the mind towards solutions and possibilities rather than problems. Surrounding oneself with positive influences is also key. Community matters. Spending time with people who are driven, optimistic, and supportive creates an environment where change feels normal rather than impossible. This environment acts as a safeguard against slipping back into old habits when challenges arise. Exploring new skills, taking calculated risks, and allowing room for failure without self-judgment transforms the journey from a fearful struggle into an adventure of self-discovery. Growth becomes a lifestyle, not a one-time project. This commitment to daily development is what bridges the gap between potential and reality, turning ordinary lives into extraordinary ones step by intentional step. There comes a pivotal point in every personal growth journey where everything shifts, not because the circumstances outside suddenly change, but because something inside finally clicks. It's not usually dramatic or flashy. In fact, it often happens in an ordinary moment that somehow feels extraordinary. After weeks or months of wrestling with self-doubt, excuses, and fear, a person reaches a crossroads where they can no longer tolerate living smaller than they know they were meant to live. This moment is powerful because it is a conscious choice to stop being defined by old stories and to step fully into the unknown, ready or not. Perhaps it happens in a quiet room late at night when the thought hits, if not now, then when? Maybe it comes during a conversation with a friend who says exactly what needs to be heard, or during a solitary walk when the mind is finally clear enough to hear the truth within. Whatever the trigger, the moment is the same. A surge of determination washes over any lingering doubt, and the excuses that once felt valid begin to look flimsy and small. It's not that fear disappears, but its power weakens as clarity strengthens. At this point, people find themselves doing things they never imagined they could. They pick up the phone and make that difficult call they've been avoiding for years. They sign up for the class they've always wanted to take. They get up an hour earlier every day to work on their goals before the world distracts them. They have that honest conversation they've been too scared to start. With each brave action, they prove to themselves that they are stronger than their fears. This turning point often brings an unexpected side effect, setbacks. Old patterns resist change. Sometimes the first attempts fail, mistakes happen, or people around them doubt the new direction. But instead of seeing these obstacles as reasons to quit, they now see them as proof that growth is happening. They start to realize that failure is not a signal to stop, but a sign they're pushing beyond the limits that once defined them. This moment of resolve, this climax, is the beginning of true freedom. It's when potential shifts from a vague hope to a living force driving daily action. From here, life doesn't magically become easy, but it becomes undeniably more meaningful. The person who crosses this threshold emerges not just inspired, but transformed, ready to build a life that once seemed impossible, one bold step at a time. Reaching the point where one decides to break free from the limitations of old patterns is only the beginning of an unfolding journey toward a more fulfilling life. It's easy to believe that once a breakthrough moment happens, everything will fall perfectly into place, but the reality is more nuanced and rewarding than that. True transformation is not a single event. It's a continuous series of choices made every day, especially when it would be easier to slip back into the comfort of the familiar. The real victory lies in staying committed to these choices, even when motivation wavers and challenges arise. People who stay the course come to understand that growth is less about sudden leaps and more about steady, deliberate steps. They learn that setbacks are not failures, but lessons that refine their path. They discover resilience they didn't know they possessed, and with each obstacle they overcome, they build unshakable confidence in their ability to handle whatever comes next. This newfound confidence fuels greater dreams and more courageous action, creating a positive cycle that propels them further than they ever imagined. An important part of sustaining this momentum is remembering that no one achieves lasting change alone. Seeking support, whether from mentors, friends, or like-minded communities, helps anchor new habits and encourages accountability. Surrounding oneself with people who believe in progress and possibility serves as a constant reminder that an extraordinary life is not reserved for a select few, but is available to anyone willing to do the inner and outer work to claim it. Another lesson along this journey is learning to celebrate progress. However small, recognizing tiny victories along the way keeps the spark alive. It turns daily effort into a rewarding experience rather than a burdensome obligation. Over time, what once felt impossible becomes second nature, and what once seemed out of reach becomes a part of everyday reality. Ultimately, unlocking one's potential is about reclaiming personal power, the power to decide, to act, to fail forward, and to rise again stronger and wiser. It is a declaration that life is too precious to be lived half-heartedly or dictated by fear. Those who commit to this path find themselves not just achieving goals, but experiencing deeper fulfillment, richer relationships, and a profound sense of purpose that colors every part of their lives. In the end, the greatest discovery is not that the world changes, but that you change. And through that inner transformation, you gain the courage and capacity to shape the world around you in remarkable ways. Now that you've seen what's possible when you dare to challenge your old limitations, it's time to turn insight into action. Inspiration without action fades quickly, but even the smallest step taken today can spark momentum that carries you forward tomorrow and the day after that. So start by asking yourself this simple question: what is one thing you can do today that your future self will thank you for? Maybe it's setting your alarm an hour earlier to work on your passion project. Maybe it's having that conversation you've been putting off, or writing down the goals you keep only in your head. Whatever it is, do it today. Not next week, not when you feel ready. Readiness comes through doing. Remind yourself that you don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight. Big changes are built on tiny daily choices. Commit to one small habit that moves you closer to the life you envision. Protect this commitment fiercely, and when you slip, because everyone does, get back up with compassion and keep going. Each act of discipline rewires your mind to trust that you follow through on what you promise yourself. Surround yourself with reminders of why you started. Place sticky notes with your vision on your mirror. Set encouraging alarms on your phone, or create a playlist that fuels your drive. And don't keep this journey to yourself. Share your goals with someone who believes in you and will hold you accountable when your resolve weakens. Also, give yourself permission to grow at your own pace. Progress is never a straight line, but it is always moving forward if you stay committed. Be patient with your mistakes and generous with your self-praise. Celebrate your wins, no matter how small, because each win is proof that you are becoming the person you've always wanted to be. Your potential has waited long enough. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. They don't exist. Start now, exactly as you are, with what you have. Your best life isn't found in endless planning. It's created through bold, imperfect action. Take that first step today and then another tomorrow. Keep going until one day you look back and realize you didn't just unlock your potential, you lived it fully, and it changed everything.